Hi Disney friends, this is Joni from Mom and Me and Disney, and today we are going to try some recipes from this cookbook. This is the Unofficial Disney Parks Cookbook by Ashley Craft. We're going to try a few recipes, a few different ones, so we'll talk about each one as I make them, and then I will try them and Cheyenne's going to try them so that you can see whether or not they would be worth making and whether or not you might want to pick up this particular cookbook. It is pretty popular, lots of people have it. I've seen it referenced a few times in the past, so that's why we're going to start with this one. So let's go get cooking. Okay, the first recipe we are going to try is LeFou's Brew from Fantasyland and Magic Kingdom in the Unofficial Disney Parks Cookbook. So the first step says, in a bowl of a stand mixer, add cream, mango juice, passion fruit juice, and confectioner's sugar. Using the whisk attachment, whip until soft peaks form. Cover and refrigerate fruit foam while completing the next steps. So we will actually have to modify part of this recipe later on, but I'll talk about that when we get to that step. So I went ahead and already mixed our mango juice. I couldn't find just mango juice at my grocery store, so we're gonna try this and we'll see how that turns out. And then the only passion fruit juice I could find is this gigantic container of passion fruit. So we will see how this all goes together. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these together. So I already poured those. So it's actually 3 tablespoons of mango juice, 3 tablespoons of passion fruit juice, which I have in this bowl. So I'm gonna pour that into the bowl I'm going to be using to mix with. And then the heavy cream. So this is 1 cup of heavy cream, which I just happen to have in the refrigerator because I use heavy cream sometimes in my coffee. I'm gonna dump that in here. And then 1/4 cup confectioner sugar, so powdered sugar. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour that in as well. And we are going to blend that up and see how it turns out. Okay, the second step says, in a large bowl, mix apple juice concentrate with water, add marshmallow syrup, pour into an ice cream machine, follow manufacturer's instructions, and 1 to 20 minutes. I don't have an ice cream machine, and I'm not gonna get one just for this. So I'm just gonna mix it up and hope that that does the trick. I'll probably put it in the freezer for just a little bit so that it gets that consistency. But let's see how this goes. So let's start with our apple juice concentrate. And then I pre-measured the 3 cups of cold water. So I am going to only pour in about half and we'll see if we need the rest. And then 3 tablespoons of toasted marshmallow syrup, which you can order this online. This is like coffee syrup. So let's go ahead and put in 3 tablespoons. All right, I'm gonna mix that up and see how it turns out. All right, so it pretty much looks like apple juice right now. So I'm gonna throw this in the freezer, let it firm up, and then we will put these together, which is the third step, which is just to scoop the mixture into glasses and top with the fruit foam, stir a bit to blend the flavors before serving. So let me get this frozen and then we will try that out. All right, the second recipe that we are gonna try is Dole with. This is from Adventureland and Magic Kingdom. And again, I don't have an ice cream machine, so this one is going to have to be adjusted a little bit. So it says, in a medium microwave safe bowl, combine water and sugar, which is 1 cup of room temperature water, and 1.5 cups of regular white sugar, granulated sugar. So I already did that, and then it says, so basically you microwave it for a minute, stir, microwave it for 1 more minute. So I did that already. And then you create a syrup, cover and refrigerate for at least 2 hours, basically to get it really cold. pour pineapple juice into the ice cream machine and add a half a cup of chilled syrup. Add lime juice, follow ice cream machine instructions, and run about 20 minutes. So we're gonna improvise and add this together to the bowl, and then I'm gonna freeze this overnight. So we will actually try this probably tomorrow, although we'll maybe try a sip of it tonight just to see if the flavor is right. So let's finish adding our ingredients. Let me give that a taste and see what I think of the flavor. Oh yeah, that's gonna be good. So let me throw this into a freezer safe container and get it in the freezer so that we can try it later. All right, the next recipe I'm gonna make, which is actually gonna be our dinner tonight, is the corn dog nuggets from Main Street, USA. So these are super popular all over Disney World, but especially at Casey's Corner. So we're gonna see how they stack up. So the first thing it says is to put 4 cups of vegetable oil for frying into a pan, which I've already done. And then it asks you to heat the oil up, which I will do here once I get the batter made. And then it says to line a large plate with paper towels and set it aside. So I'm assuming this is to put your corn dog nuggets on once they are done. So then it says pat hot dog pieces dry with a paper towel, and you're supposed to cut them crosswise into thirds. So we will go ahead and do that, and then I'm gonna stick them into a bowl. Now the recipe says to use 16 hot dogs. Cheyenne and I are not gonna eat 16 of these corn dog nuggets. So 16 hot dogs worth of corn dog nuggets. So I just got one package. So, but obviously if you're feeding like a larger family or you just want a bunch of corn dog nuggets, you could certainly buy, you know, all 16. There's your hot dogs. All right, I needed to wash my hands because I had hot dogs on them, and we definitely don't need that in our batter. All right, so here's my bowl. This is what I am going to mix the batter in. I know that this is kind of a big bowl, but we'll see how this goes. All right, so 1 cup of yellow cornmeal. All right, 1 cup of all-purpose flour. All right, then 1 1/4 cups whole milk. Half a cup of sugar for me. And then it says a half a teaspoon of salt and a half a teaspoon of ground black pepper. Right. And then 4 teaspoons of baking powder. And then 1 large egg. So I grab that. Alright, I think that definitely looks like corn dog nugget batter. Alright, let's get the oil turned on and make some corn dog nuggets. In here. The batter is pretty thick, so it looks like it'll puff up pretty good too. And then they do naturally seem to want to just be on one side, so you probably are going to have to hold them down or flip them to make sure that they brown on all sides. I think they actually look pretty good. You can see that. So. Okay, so I took the 4 that I thought turned out the best, and I plated them. So let's go see what Cheyenne thinks.
Hello! Let's say, I am here for food.
All right, so we're gonna try these. These are corn dog nuggets. They're supposed to be the recipe from Main Street USA. So I'm assuming Casey's Corner, although it didn't specifically say that in the book.
Okay.
And we like ketchup with them, so
yeah,
we're gonna try them.
I'll say the batter is very soft, like crunchy.
So I don't think these taste like Casey's Corner corn dogs.
Mm-mm. I was gonna say that. Obviously, I don't know what is in the batter, but Casey's Corner has much more of a. I don't even want to say a cornmealy, but I think that's what it is from Casey's, isn't it? Like a
yeah.
Like a.
And this one does have cornmeal in it.
Okay, it has more of a cornmeal batter. It's a thicker batter. This is very thin, and fluffy. While the other one is normally like a thick and fluffy type of batter. And the hot dog normally, well, it has flavor. I actually think the hot dog is a lot more flavorful from this than the Casey's, because I feel like Casey's is much more the batter has the flavor.
So there was just a ton of batter. So I think if you added more cornmeal, it maybe would thicken it up a little bit, and then it would get more corn on there too. Because I think, let's see if I can break one of these open.
That's the one you kind of burnt.
It is burnt. So that was another thing I had a little bit of an issue with. If the batter got too thin, it would burn the hot dog. So you had to be really careful that you battered the whole thing well. But you can see there's not necessarily a ton of batter, where I think the Casey's hot dogs definitely have more. But overall, I don't think they're bad.
I'll preface this. I'm a picky eater, a very picky eater. And I'm normally not the biggest fan of frozen hot dogs or like frozen like corn dogs and stuff like that. But I actually would eat these. I think these are a mixture of enough like bought hot dogs from like a place compared to
like the frozen corn
like
dogs
the frozen corn dogs you buy. Because I actually like the batter on them. It's actually the hot dog I'm having a really weird time with. Because it has so much flavor. Like, I don't know how you would buy a hot dog that has less flavor.
Maybe a not all beef hot dog.
I don't know.
I wonder if a turkey dog would be better.
I don't
know. Something to try. All right. Well, that's corn dogs. So, you want to try some LeFou's Brew?
Sure. I will say one last thing on the corn dogs, though, real quick. They are less like Casey's corn dog nuggets and more, I feel like, ones that you quickly buy from like the stand. Like the stand that immediately comes to mind is the Fantasmic food booth. Like when you go and get like corn dog nuggets and then they give you a bag of chips, like Lay's chips to go with it. That's what these more taste like. Again, the hot dog is still more flavorful than that, because I feel like normally they really have a standout batter. But yeah.
All right. Well, overall, if you had to rank these 1 out of 10, what would you rank them?
Are we comparing them to like a Disney food, or just like would I eat them?
Would you eat them?
And 7, 8.
Okay, that's pretty good. I'd probably give them a 4. This is probably not something I would just make again to make.
No.
Obviously, too, like for me, if I'm going to eat something like this, it's going to be quick. So I'm going to grab that frozen food and reheat it. I'm not going to take the time to make the batter, deep fry these. This took a lot longer than I would want it to for corn dog nuggets. But obviously for a once in a while treat or for something fun to do with kids, like I think this is a good fun.
And see, for me, this is more just like cozy food. So like I'll spend an hour making it and then go sit and read a book with my corn dog nuggets.
That's kind of funny. All right, let's try the LeFou's Brew and see how that turned out.
Okay. So cold. It's very cold.
All right, so this is the LeFou's Brew, and I put them in these Disney cups that we have, basically just so you could see the different layers. So you're supposed to slightly mix them, and then
So very first off, the foam looks very different from LeFou's Brew. I am a LeFou's Brew connoisseur over here. I love LeFou's Brew. So I'm actually just gonna taste the foam real quick. Yeah, that's like a whipped cream.
Yeah. It's actually good though. I like
It is.
I like to mix mine really good together, so that's what I'm gonna do to try this.
Is there cream in it?
Yeah, heavy cream is what makes the
Weird.
top cream.
LeFou's Brew, it's like bubbles on the top normally.
All right, so I mixed mine all together, so I'm gonna try this together. I don't actually think that's too far off. The flavor profile is there. Now, is this exactly LeFou's Brew? No.
I want to see. Can
Do you want me to get you a straw?
No, I'm okay. So, it actually is very good. LeFou's Brew is, I feel like, a very acquired taste.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't say acquired, but it is very, very sweet and it is very, very tart at the same time. And I love it. You don't love it as much. That is not normally your thing. She normally just takes mine, takes a drink, and goes, that's enough for me.
My biggest problem with LeFou's Brew at the park is that it is so cold that usually, and we don't let it melt. Like, it's not, while it's a cold drink, and normally when you're in Florida, it just melts super fast, we usually suck them down pretty quick, and I don't like how very cold and frozen they are. I like this a little more where it's more slushy. Although, I don't really love this either, which is pretty on point because I don't really love LeFou's Brew, but I definitely made this for you. All right, 1 out of 10.
Now that I mixed it together, this does not taste like LeFou's Brew.
No.
But, I don't know, I've definitely, whatever this is, definitely ate it before. Or like I've had this flavor profile before. I think it tastes like, have you ever had like those sugar cookie pizzas?
Yeah.
With like a cream cheese icing and then they put like
the fruit pizzas?
Like the fruit pizzas.
Okay.
To me, that's what this tastes like.
Okay.
With like some whipped cream on top of that pizza.
I will also say that the recipe only called for mango juice and apple juice.
Okay.
Which makes sense, right? And I could not find just mango juice.
Oh, okay.
So I ended up getting mango pineapple. So there's more of a pineapple flavor
That's what I'm
to this than what you would normally get. But I mean, we don't live in a super small town, but it's not like New York City or anything. Like we live in central Wisconsin, and I could not find
that's what I'm tasting.
Just mango juice anywhere. I could not find it. So I got mango pineapple, which is still good. It's tropical, but it does change it, I think, a little bit. Because I think if it was just mango, you wouldn't be getting that tropical vibe from it. So for me, this is probably a 2 out of 10. But to be fair, that's what I would rank LeFou's Brew. I will take a sip or two of it when Cheyenne gets it, but I would never order it on my own. There are better beverage choices for me in Disney World. It's good, but it's not top of the list.
For me, LeFou's Brew is like a 9 or a 10. Like it is my
Disney World.
At Disney World. It is my go-to Magic Kingdom drink. Like if I want a fancy drink, that's where I'm going. I'm getting my LeFou's Brew and I'm walking around Fantasyland. For comparing wise, I give it like a 2, maybe a 1.
Based on the original.
Yes. But if I'm giving it a drink, does it taste good? Would I drink this? Like, I'm going to finish this cup. I'm going to give it like a 7.
Okay, that's fair.
I think it's fair. I think it's the pineapple that's really throwing me off.
All right, we got one more thing to try.
Okay.
Do you want to guess what it is?
I'll
give you a hint. Yeah.
Yeah! Dole Whip.
I'm not sure if it's completely frozen yet because it does say to freeze overnight. Actually, you're supposed to use an ice cream
maker,
which I don't have. And it's crazy that this cookbook calls for that. Actually called for it in this recipe too. Now this froze pretty fast. This froze up in the time that it took me to make the corn dog nuggets. So it didn't actually take that long. It was probably maybe 45 minutes that it's been in the freezer, and it was pretty frozen. Mine not as frozen, but I poured the liquid in mine on purpose because I knew Cheyenne would want the frozen pieces.
I did.
So okay, let's try the Dole Whip, and at least even if we just taste the flavor, we will rank the flavor based on Dole Whip.
Okay.
All right.
So we got our Dole Whip. It's not fully frozen. It is pretty cold though, and slightly thicker than I'm assuming it started out as.
Yeah, correct. It is thicker. And so we'll try it, and then obviously we're gonna try it after it freezes. But I don't think it's gonna be the same consistency as Dole Whip, even once it's frozen, because it is more, like you can just tell this is gonna be more icicle-y than creamy. There was no cream in this recipe either.
Well, and cream isn't in Dole Whip. So Dole Whip is, I believe, a vegan
Yes,
thing.
Original Dole Whip is like the pineapple original flavor.
Yeah.
And most of the flavors are, although they sometimes will add them with vanilla ice cream and stuff to make specialty floats and whatnot. But
like even then, like when that melts, it is still a yellowy, opaque. Yeah. This is basically looks like a juice box. Like if you like pour out a juice box into like a cup, that's not the consistency it is, but like that's like the opaque like color.
Yeah.
That it is.
And what's also interesting about this recipe too is that I didn't add as much water as the recipe called for because I knew I needed to freeze it.
Interesting.
So that'll be interesting too. And then also just keep in mind, this was supposed to just have pineapple juice. But since I had already bought mango pineapple juice, that's what I used.
Okay.
So
it's gonna be mango.
It's gonna be mango-y, more so than just pineapple, but give it a try. And then I need to try it because I haven't tried it yet either.
The initial taste is not Dole Whip. The aftertaste is Dole Whip.
I actually really like that. Like, I could just drink that as a juice. That's
So,
really good.
It is very good.
It is, you do get that creamy texture after you swallow it.
You do.
So maybe this will surprise me once it's frozen, but I just don't think so based on the way it looks in the container. But you do sort of get that aftertaste of like a creamy consistency, which I think is actually very appealing to this. Even though it is not completely frozen, it is very cold, and I actually really like this. I would make this again and just have this.
If we could get it without the mango and it would be pineapple, I actually think this would be very, very close and almost spot on. I don't think it's going to be exact, but I think it would be very, very close.
And if you have an ice cream maker, maybe it would be even closer, but I was not buying an ice cream maker just for these recipes. So I also don't know of any person who has an ice cream maker in their home, unless it's one of those like kid machines you see sometimes where like the kids will buy ice cream makers, and they don't usually last that long because we had one many years ago. But regardless, this recipe is actually pretty close, but I wish that they would have tailored things in this cookbook better to like the average home cook. That's one of my gripes with the cookbook, actually.
I don't know. I didn't look through the cookbook, but honestly, the recipes are good, but I do think it is the unofficial cookbook for a reason.
For a reason. All right, so I'll talk about that in a moment, but what would you rate this?
Flavor-wise, I'd give it maybe a 6. I'm a big texture person too, that's why I'm a picky eater. And while this is good, I don't love the initial taste of mango. If it was just straight pineapple, it would probably be like an 8 or a 9.
Okay, so that's not the recipe's fault, that's mine.
No. Love you.
But it is what I had to work with. So unless you're, buying, because I was buying obviously things to go with all of the things I was making, not necessarily just this recipe. So had I been buying just for this recipe, I probably would have searched for just pineapple juice, which they did have. I just didn't want to buy 2 separate juice containers because we probably won't drink that juice.
Lazy.
Yeah, I was lazy.
Lazy.
I admit it. I was at the grocery store and I didn't want to have to get 2 things. So there you have it. All right. So overall, all the recipes, would you recommend this cookbook? Yes or no? Based on these 3 things.
If you want it for good flavors and that are Disney inspired-ish flavors, sure. If you're wanting exact replicas of stuff from Disney, this isn't gonna get you there. So based on that, take that or leave it, I would say.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, I was here for food.
All right, bye. All right, now that I've cooked some recipes, would I recommend you go out and purchase this cookbook? I think that you definitely could use this cookbook to make things that are inspired by your Disney adventures. So the first reason I think you would probably want this cookbook is there's a huge variety of things from the different parks. So the variety alone makes it worth it. 2, there's something from every Disneyland and Disney World park contained within the cookbook. So you're going to get lots of different things. So if you have a favorite park, you're gonna find something in the cookbook that you can make. And 3rd, the recipes are pretty easy to follow for your average home cook. While I don't have like an ice cream maker and there's probably other things in there that I don't have, like some of the recipes call for like a Mickey cutout shape. You might not have that, but I think that they're easy enough to adapt that you could probably figure out a way to still make those items. So you're gonna wanna skip this cookbook for different reasons as well. So maybe you have, don't want to use this cookbook. One reason you may not want to is that it's outdated. So this cookbook, I'm not exactly sure when it was published, but some of the items that are in the cookbook haven't been in the parks for a very long time. So that might be one reason you want to skip it. The second reason you might want to skip it is if you want more savory foods from the parks. Almost all of the recipes contained within this cookbook are going to be sweet options like Cheshire cattails, beignets, things like that. In addition to the items we cooked, there were not a lot of savory options to choose from. And the third reason you might want to skip this is if you are looking for the current recipes to things that are in the Disney parks. Like Cheyenne said earlier, this is really inspired and it's an unofficial cookbook for a reason. These are not the official recipes from Disney. So while they might get you close and in the ballpark of the flavor, they are probably not exactly what they are using at Disney. So I hope you liked this video. I hope this was helpful in helping you decide if this might be a good option for you. As always, I'm Joni from Mom and Me and Disney, and if you could like and subscribe, we would really appreciate it.